Islam says no, God and His messengers declared a war on riba. Islam says no, God is not a property of one group, of one community. He's the creator, Lord of everyone and everything that exists. Islam gives us that final solution with Prophet Muhammad that yes, she can ask for divorce because this man is really being so abusive, she cannot even live her life. That is the mercy of God to give a law which is going to be practical for all peoples at all times. And this is just one example. If I were to ask you, within the teachings of Judeo-Christianity, so that taking hold of Judaism and whole of Christianity with all its branches, what is the solution to usury and interest, which has sort of, made us slaves to economic machinery in the world? Whole countries enslaved by interest and usury. There is no solution because they allow giving and taking of interests. The Jewish people would not take interest and take interest between themselves, but they will charge interest to everyone else.
That's the thing. They pushed it in the Middle Ages as well. They pushed it into this country and to Europe, and that's what ruined economies. That's what ruined the Middle Ages because when interest was banned, Jews were banned.
Who are the early bankers, for example?
Yeah, they were Jews. Yeah, they introduced all this interest into this economy, and they ruined it. Basically.
So we know this is sanctioned by their scripture. And if you think about it, that doesn't look like a just system. It's exploiting the other people when they are most vulnerable. For example, say you've got 3 friends, right? You want to do something and you haven't got money. You want to borrow from him, and he says, now I can get, because he's now under my authority, right? I'm going to control him. I know his weaknesses. So instead of being kind and compassionate and saying, you know what, here's the money, don't worry about it. You don't have to even borrow it. Or even if you borrow it, give me money back a month later or a year later, but it's exactly the amount I've given you. I don't want to charge you extra. But if you start saying, give me 25% on top of it, or 37% on top of it, he wants to make money by giving you money in your vulnerability. So we know that interest and usury, by their very nature when they're applied, they are an exploitation of people's weakness and vulnerability. Islam says no, God and His messengers declared a war on riba, those who take and give interests. You would agree with that. You would say, I expect that to be the guidance from God, because that takes care of all human beings and their interests on a fair level. So I've given you 2 examples to demonstrate how the universal application of the message of Prophet Muhammad is something when you were to investigate, your heart and your mind will be in sync to agree with it, because that's what you expect from a prophet and a messenger of God. Would you not agree that that's what we expect? When it comes to the concept of God, Islam says God is one God of all the worlds, Lord of all the worlds. When we start our prayer, we say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise, all glory, all gratitude be the Lord of all that exists, all the worlds. We don't say all praises to be the God of Arabs, or God of the Pakistanis, God of the Malaysians and the Philippines. We don't say that, because that will be immediately like, does that mean He's not the God of... Yeah? Look at the Jewish concept of God. Hear Israel, the Lord your God. Hear Israel, the Lord your God. Not your God, the Lord your God is one. You should... It's like a Jewish, some kind of tribal deity. Yeah? It's not about like God of everyone. So Islam says no, God is not a property of one group, of one community. He's the creator, Lord of everyone and everything that exists. That is how Islam comes to correct the misunderstandings people had about God. Quran talks about, God is Al-Ghani, He is rich, He's self-sufficient, He's independent. That's why when people say God has a son, it's like the heavens and the earth is about to shatter and about to be destroyed destroyed and split asunder because people ascribe and associate a son with God. It's an insult. Imagine you are the professor, you know it all, and someone says, look, I need to learn from him because he's delegated this to you. And say, look, I haven't delegated to anyone. I know everything. I don't need to delegate my job and so on and so forth. I don't have a son or a daughter who's going to carry on my legacy after I die, because now it's mere legacy. But God, walillahi al-mathalul a'la, He is the highest description, no comparison. He doesn't die. He would never die. He would never cease to exist. So He doesn't need a son or a daughter to continue His legacy. So when people started ascribing a partner to God, this is the most grievous sin. To say God has taken a son or a daughter, or people have incorporated something along with God in worship. Because God created us to worship Him alone. And this worship is for us, not for Him. He doesn't need our worship. Does He need our worship? No. He's not needed. We need to worship Him. Why? Because based on our worshipping, our consequence in the hereafter will be good or bad. If God created us, did He create us just for no reason? Do you think God creates this sophisticated universe, so organized, so complex, so harmonious, so orderly, for no reason? Just as a mere play? Just a mere play? Amusement? It doesn't make sense. Do you think people created this can in this sophistication with an opening device for no reason? It's just there for artistic purposes. No. There's something in there that will quench your thirst, maybe, but at least it's going to give you some drink that you'll enjoy, and this mechanism will open it. Yeah? Before that, it seals it, closes it. It's going to keep it fresh for quite some time. So they didn't just make it for no reason. A phone, for example, that you have is there with a specific function. Communication, recording audio, videos, and lots of different things, right? You can write on it, save things on it in terms of your communication information. Is that information too? Do you think people just make something like that and that's it for no reason? Makes no sense. The whole universe is much more complex and organized in its assembly. It doesn't make sense that it's just there for no reason. So the Creator created us for a specific reason. And that reason He tells us to worship Him. If we don't do that, then why do we expect our consequence, end results, going to be the same when we die? Do you think the person who is good, imagine all three of you are so good, right? And there is someone on contrast so bad. They commit all the knife crimes, they commit all the rapes and killing and so on and so forth. You die and they die. The worm comes and eats them all, and you get buried in the worm, and then that's it. The flesh rots away, and the bones, and so on and so forth. Do you think that's justice? So why would the end results be the same? Where is the accountability? Where is the justice? So justice demands that there will be a day of judgment when people who have got away from this world, they will make sure they will be accountable and they will be recompensed for what good and what bad they have done. So the bad people should have their reward, whether it be punishment. The good people should have their reward, whether it be a reward in pleasure and tranquility and joy. Yeah? So this is what we are saying is, it is very important then to understand that when we talk about believing a God, we need to make this sense of belief internalize to make our sense here and here. So Islam is one particular worldview that you will find your heart and your mind will agree. It will not say, Islam says worship a potato. How can I worship a potato? Come on, man. People grew potatoes and you can eat salad out of it. Or Islam says, you know what, worship a black man called Krishna. And he came and he saw some girls naked having bath in a pond. So he went up the tree and started watching and enjoying. And when these poor girls noticed that, they said, give our clothes back. He says, no, you come out of the water, then I'll give it to you. You would say, what kind of God is that? That's pervert. That's pervert. So you would see Islam is not telling you anything of this nature which goes outside of your mind and your heart. It tells you, worship a God who is totally unique, absolute and unique. There is no resemblance, co-equal, co-comparison. He's one and only. He is not born. He doesn't produce children. There is no likeness whatsoever. You will say, yeah, if God is absolute, and it has to be absolute, perfect. If he's perfect, absolute, there can only be one of those things. Can there be two of the absolute beings? Can there be two? Shall I give you an example of a two? Do you drive yet? But you'll be driving soon, right? Good. When you drive, you will have your examiner or your tutor with a set of controls in the same car. So he can stop the brake and he can just steer, right? These are dual controls. Some of them have exactly all the dual controls, sometimes only the brake to save from crash. Now imagine a car in which there are independent controls on the left and the right, okay? And only two of you got on this car and you said, I'm going to take the car to the north. That's it, I've decided.
I want to take it the other direction.
You're going to go the other directions. And you said, look, because I'm in control, I'm self-sufficient, I'm independent, I don't need to listen to anyone. Where's the car going to go? North or south? Do you see the problem? Conflict of will, there's going to be chaos and corruption. Do you think if there are more than one of those gods, absolute gods in this world, the world will still be like this? One of them says it's too warm today. Let me have a thunderstorm and rain. Other says, no, I want people to have a warm a lot of some more vitamin D. Conflict of will, and they'll fight with each other and they'll probably destroy each other. This shows you a concept of polytheism is not rational. It doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense is one absolute God. So I told you about the concept of God in Islam. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So can there be anyone worthy of worship apart from that God who has these concepts? You will say there's nothing worthy of worship. This bag is not worthy of worship. You know, this man is not worthy of worship. This tree, rat, elephant, human beings, no one should be worthy of worship. Because the only being who is worthy of worship is the one what? Who is self-sufficient, who is independent, who is the creator, who has no beginning, who is absolute, perfect. Because of this perfection, that's why we show all this praise. Imagine someone is a source of all love. And if you want to express your love, you can only express the utmost love to someone who is a source of all love. That's God. You cannot love anyone as more profound love than God, because He is the one who gave you the concept of love. Yeah? You can love your wife, for example, but it came from God. So you should appreciate and thank God for giving this love, for example, right? So when we say, who is worthy of worship? All our gratitude and our praise and thanks can only be that being. This is the concept of God Islam provides, and you will see that when you explain and explore and study more, your heart and your mind. Why am I saying both? Because some people go by logic, other people go by their feelings. I'm saying Islam will cater both of your needs, intellectual as well as spiritual. It will make you feel and understand that yes, only Allah is worthy of worship. Do you have a concept called Allah-S or Allah-im, where there's more than one Allah and there's a feminine form? There's no such thing. You cannot. Even the word to describe Allah, His name, it is protected from even having a feminine form. Like God can have goddess, goddesses, or gods. Allah cannot have that. Even just to eliminate that Allah is the only one God who hasn't got a physical gender, male or female, or a plurality in forms.
That's the same in Judaism, surely. I understand Christianity is different, but Judaism is the same.
Elohim, and there's
Elohim,
lots of things.
Hashem,
in Judaism, lots of things are similar, but there are other things which you would question. I was just giving an example here about God's attribute. Let me ask all of you, do you know why there's a rainbow in the sky according to the Jewish people's scripture, their beliefs? Do you know?
Repeat that.
Do you you know why there appears a rainbow in the sky? Why is there a rainbow in the sky? What function does it serve? According to the Jewish scripture.
Okay.
Do you know? Anyone? Okay. In the Bible, in Genesis chapter 9, verse 12, 13, 14, I was just showing to someone else. That's why I remember the exact reference. Otherwise, I may not remember. In fact, it may be just even open on my Safari if I open it. Look. Bible.com. Genesis 9, 12 to 7. The rainbow that I have put in the sky will be my sign to you and to every living creature on earth. It will remind you that I will keep this promise forever. When I send clouds over the earth and a rainbow appears in the sky, I will remember my promise to you and to all other living creatures. Never again will I let floodwaters destroy life. When I see the rainbow in the sky, I will always remember the promise. Who is being reminded? Who remembers when he sees a rainbow? God himself. Do you think God forgets that he needs reminded by a rainbow? Of course not.
He's telling them he
not.
will remember. He's not telling himself he will remember. He's telling them he will remember.
Yes. If God tells you or me or anyone that when I see the cloud and I see the rainbow, I will remember, that's not God.
That's not what it means. It means that when you see the rainbow, you know that right at that moment there's a connection.
I tell you.
Now, what does God say? When I see.
You're just misinterpreting it.
I'm not. Do you want to read?
I read it, I heard it.
No. So now tell me what you've read. When God says...
He says, I will remember, but that's not what he means.
Oh, so if God says, I will remember, it doesn't mean I will remember.
It's not about that, it's about interpretation.
Now, why are you going against a clear text?
I'm not going against a clear text. In Judaism, you know the concept of the Tanakh as well as the Torah, yes?
No, Tanakh is the part of...
Yes, and we have...
the whole totality.
The Gemara, you know this, yes?
Yes.
The Mishnah, you know the Gemara.
Sure.
The rabbis spend their entire lives interpreting and understanding, because a lot of it was not written in English, it was written in ancient Hebrew.
Sure,
and
no problem.
Hebrew translates and ancient Greek and ancient Latin translate very differently to English. So the words that we use in English, like I will remember, it's not the same as in Hebrew.
Shall we check?
Yes, I speak Hebrew, so I will be able to.
What does it say in Hebrew? We can check it. Yeah. So, brothers, concentrate. It's very important. Let's listen, okay? So let's go to Interlinear Bible in Hebrew.
Join against the rainbow people.
I'm speaking to this lady.
Can I just clarify? I believe that a rainbow is caused by science and not by God, but okay.
Interlinear Genesis 9:12. Okay, so you can read the Hebrew when I go, and you can tell me whether it says that or not. Okay. Here. 9:12. Go to 9:13. 9:14. Let's see what the Hebrew says, because the lady here made a point that actually it may not say that in Hebrew.
Impressionable kids here just listen to anything that's being told to them.
9:14. Okay.
It's the Old Testament.
What does it say here? And I will remember.
It's a halti. It's not about that. You're misunderstanding.
What does it say?
It's a halti. Okay? It's not I will remember. It's about the idea.
وذكرتي. It's Arabic, is similarly. Yeah?
But the translation is, it's the direct translation is wrong. It's, you know in Arabic, do you speak Arabic?
I speak, yeah.
So you know there's words in Arabic that when you try and translate them to English, it's not exactly the same.
Can you tell me what it means in Hebrew?
Will be remembered. It's about...
No. Look at this. Look at
I
this.
will remember. But it's
I will remember.
But you're misunderstanding context.
What am I misunderstanding?
Context. He's not saying, oh, there's a rainbow. I remember these guys. He's saying when you as a human look up, you know that he is remembering you.
No.
Yes.
The text says, when I look at the clouds, look, it's very easy to twist the text in interpretation. When the text says, God is saying, when I look at the clouds and I see the rainbow, I will remember. You have three emphasis in which who is seeing? God. Who is remembering? God. So you can just say
it too.
Okay.
Who's he saying it to? That's the other.
Imagine he says that to the Jewish people. When I see, I will remember. You're saying no, it doesn't mean that.
You're telling me there's no instance anywhere in the Quran of
Let's not go to the Quran.
No,
Let's read the text.
God, it's clearly...
Consistency, Mansur.
Let's brother here. What I want you to understand is this. We have a text in which even the Hebrew says...
Judaism is not like the Quran. Judaism is about metaphors and interpretation. Not everything is literal.
Before we go into literal, we need to understand what the text says first. If the text says God is saying I will remember, you cannot say it means God says I do remember. The opposite. You can't do that because that will be twisting the actual text. The text needs to be understood in the context, and the context is very clear. God, He destroyed human beings wholesale by a flood. Then He says to Noah afterwards, now in the future I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to now do, I'm going to make a covenant. I'm going to make a promise. And as a sign of my promise is this rainbow. How is it going to function? How is it going to function? That when you see the rainbow, you will remember the covenant? He says no. He says, when I see the rainbow, I will remember my covenant and not destroy human beings again. What is the rainbow going to do? It's going to stop God from destroying mankind again because He will remember the covenant that He made. The question is very simple. This does not describe God, someone who is all knowledgeable. It describes God, someone who needs reminding by a rainbow. You can bring all your Jewish interpreters to explain it away, but the obvious plain text, I will remember.
The text wasn't recorded
will tell you.
for God to remind Himself. It was recorded for men to read so they would remember.
Again, you're going against clear text.
I just
Memorialize,
personally
needs to represent.
think you misunderstood it.
No, okay, tell me. When God says I will remember, who will remember?
I'm not, of course He says I will remember.
What does it mean?
What do you mean, what does it mean?
Yeah.
Who's reading the text?
The people.
Jews, right? Or Christians as well, because it's Old Testament.
Yeah.
It's
Are you following, yeah? Okay, because I'm going to come back to you again.
It's a sign,
Yeah.
okay, so that when a Jewish person reads that book, okay, that story, when they read the story of Noah,
Yeah.
okay, they are reminded of it because at the end
Reminded of what?
of God's promise to them.
No. This is where you are twisting the text. The text says to the Jewish people, look, I made a covenant. I, God, look at the rainbow, and I, God, will remember not to destroy mankind again. So the Jewish people will know always that whenever rainbow appears, God will always remember.
I just don't understand.
God forgets, that means. God is forgetting stuff. Yeah, he's saying is God forgets. And he has to be
Do you follow that?
That's
if you don't understand that clear text, I suggest you go and contemplate on it later. So this was my point. So secondly, Secondly, you have a belief system in which people say, you know what? God, He became a man or a woman and became ignorant. You've heard about this? Yeah? Does that make sense? You studied mathematics, right? Good. Can the infinite become finite and remain infinite? Clearly not. Infinite means it's always infinite. It doesn't become finite and still remains infinite. God is all knowledgeable, will always be all knowledgeable. He can never be, that's our question.
Why does he need reminders then? Because your interpretation means that
the book which says so, I agree with you.
But she's saying it's different. She's saying the book that you're quoting, you're incorrectly quoting.
I quoted the Hebrew. She read the Hebrew. So what am I incorrectly quoting? We even read the original Hebrew. Do you understand? We quoted the Hebrew. Come on, brother. Let's not leave them. So, any concept of God which tells you like this, you would say human beings trying to understand God by their own selves. And that's why they get it wrong. Or they may have corrupted the original message of God. So, when you look at the Quran, you guys read the Qurans, right? When you read the Quran, it describes God. He says, not a leaf falls, not a leaf falls, but He's aware of it. Can you imagine? A leaf just falling from there, He's aware of it. Even the tiniest, the darkest of ants in the darkest of night, if it moves around and so on, He's aware of it. You may not be aware of it, but God is aware of it. God's knowledge is such that there's nothing unknown to God. He knows everything. So you would say a perfect being has to be all knowledgeable. A perfect being who has perfection in knowledge has to be this kind of knowledge where there's no limitation in this knowledge. When God existed without a beginning, did anyone give knowledge to God? So he had his own knowledge. So can there be any limitation to put in this knowledge? Because he inherently has a knowledge. He exists without a beginning. So how can his knowledge even have any limitation? Perfection. So that is what Islamic concept of God tells you, that this is God. You should worship none but him. You agree so far? No one is worthy of worship except him. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how do we know he's a prophet of God? Do you know how we know him? How did the people at that time know he's a prophet of God? People saw him grown up among themselves, always truthful, always honest. So there was no reason for them to doubt what he said. So whenever there was a dispute or something like this, if he said something, they know that he's speaking the truth. So when he became a prophet, he went one of the mounts, one of the hills, and he called the people in this customary call, Ya Sabaha, or whatever the customary call was. At that time, this call was to make people aware there's a danger, imminent danger ahead. There's some kind of danger. So he wants to call them because of danger of worshipping other than God. Is you're losing your whole eternity, right? So he called them. He said, look, if I told you there's an army waiting behind the hills, would you trust me? What do you think they said? They said, yes, we will. We've never known lie from you. We've never heard anything untrue from you. They affirmed about his character. Then he said, look, I have been appointed, made a prophet of God, that you should worship none but God. You should abandon and reject all the false gods and worship one God alone. At that point, they said, oh, and they started talking about something else. Why didn't they accept it? Because they knew now that means total overthrow of the Meccan economy that built in worshipping idols. People come from Yemen and from Syria, from all these different places, and what would they do in these areas, brother? What would people do when people come in Hajj? You've heard of Hajj?
Yeah, that was their way of making.
It's the season, right? Hajj is the season. So what people used to do, come here and do what? In Mecca, what were there? All this
Offer their gods or making money out of idol worship, giving water, hospitality. It's their way of making money.
Yeah, they will come and give. And imagine now you're the custodian as this idol called Manat, for example. So people want to come and worship. They offer food, money, all the lots of things. Does it go to the idol? It goes to the custodian, the caretaker. So you make lots of business, right? So this is your economic security and so on and so forth, your financial needs. So when the Prophet said, you should worship none of those idols, which you have carved yourself by your own hands, but worship the one who created you, what happened? Destroyed. What happened to these people? They went against him because that destroys the whole thing. So, but some people accepted it because they knew these were not even worthy of worship to begin with. So when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came to them, he didn't just come to them like, there you go, I'm a prophet of God. You know what he brought? He brought to them the Quran. The Quran is such a book. What are the unique qualities of the Quran, brother, that when they seen, that they knew it cannot be from other than God Almighty?
The linguistic aspects.
Explain.
There is a challenge of the Quran. So the Arabs were expert in their language. So Allah revealed it in their language, and now He's challenging them to bring a chapter like it. And this is something that the Arabs, like you had the top Arab poets, when they listened and when they heard the recitation of the Quran, they say this is not a speech of a poet, it's not a speech of a soothsayer. They had to resort to magic. That means they had no natural explanation. It's a supernatural phenomenon.
So
So that's the challenge.
one of the evidence for its divine origin was a prophet who was unlettered. They knew he didn't go to school and learn anything. He could not read or write, right? And now he's coming up with most eloquent of all poetry that they know of. And he's saying, I didn't compose it. This is an inspiration, a revelation come to me. If you don't believe in it, all you have to do is simply match something like it. Do you know about rap songs and rap artists, what do they do? You say something in rap, I can say something in return. Is it so difficult for them? No, they can compete with each other.
Because he has meters or rhymes.
Yeah. The Arab poets used to do that too in their poetry. But when the Quran came and they were challenged to bring something like it, they couldn't simply do it. I'll give you an analogy how it was not possible to do that. Do you see at the back, there's a building at the back with a flag, yeah? Okay. If you are an architect, imagine all of you study architecture, civil engineering, and so on and so forth. You know how to make buildings. You are expert. You are the most well-known expert in London, right? People come to you to get their buildings made and so on. And then this brother comes along and says, I have a building as well. But my building is so special, you can't imitate it. You can't make anything like it. Okay? I didn't make it. God gave it to me like that. And he said, what's so difficult to make a building like yours? We know exactly how to make buildings. When you inspected his building, you saw that his building, like that one over there, is made up of stones and bricks, but each brick is not touching with the other one, floating in space. Each single one. So you can see clearly, you can actually take a brick out and put it back in. That's how it is. Can you make a building like that?
It's impossible.
With our current technology, can anyone do that? No. The Quran, when it came to them in Arabic language, in the Arabic letters of Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha, same Arabic letters, it composed and structured in such a way, for them it was like this. They couldn't imitate something like that. And that challenge is still on today. You can see people trying to imitate, and they all fail. Why? Because they cannot imitate something like the Quran.
Even one verse.
This is well known.
The challenge is not a verse. The challenge is about a surah. Okay? Or a hadith. A hadith is more than one sentence. So, in my understanding, so there's a whole chapter. A smallest chapter is like 3 lines.
As far as I know, it's this challenge. First, to bring another Quran same like this, and second one to bring
10
surah,
chapters, yeah.
and then the last challenge would also fail. Bring one verse.
Yeah. But I don't.
By this way also they fail.
But I don't think this is firstly it's chronological like that. It's open to all of them. Bring the whole Quran, 10 chapters or 1 chapter is giving you all of that. I know you have to go. But I'm just reminding you, I'm giving you some examples where the prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is something grounded on a solid foundation, which we can verify today. So when you now between yourself discuss this issue, inshallah you will, right? You will realize that you have no reason not to accept him as a prophet of God. Why would you not accept him when the evidence and proof is there? He tells you, I'm a messenger, and this is my reasons why, proof and evidence why this book is from God, and you cannot give anything, any other alternative explanation. And you know it makes sense. It describes God, about you, about your purpose in life, what's going to happen to you in the hereafter, heaven and hell. All seems to make sense. Something may go against your desires. Imagine you're a vegetarian, and the Quran says, yeah, you sacrifice your animal in Hajj. But it doesn't make it something like you have to conform to your desires. Yeah. So besides people's desire aspect, you will see all of that in sync with your heart and your mind. Then the next step will be, what's your name? Julia. Julia? With an A-E at the end, or? Julian. My name is Mansur. What I would humbly and kindly request you is to take this opportunity as a starting point to investigate and explore Islam, look into the life of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, look into the Quran and its messages, and then as you explore and as you learn, you make your own choice, independent of someone telling you becoming a Muslim. Does that make sense? All the best. Take care. Okay. What's your name, brother?
Dean.
Okay. Where? They were just here. Yeah. Oh, here.
How many?
Just one.
Free from compulsion. Or during and after religion.
Thank you. Thank you. You take care. You too. You take care. Yeah? Enjoy your time. But be always responsible. All right? Teenagers like yourself, you have a very bright future ahead. Don't destroy it on drugs, rock and roll, women, and so on and so forth. But be responsible so that people can then benefit. The whole world can benefit from you. Okay. Yeah.
Can I ask you some questions?
One second.